Dr. Mano, please deliver your speech.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all the organizers of EPGO 6th conference. And I'll start my screen share here. So, hello, everyone. I am Dr. Monal Drisel. I'm a pathologist from India. I am currently working as a senior resident in Hamdard Institute of Medical Science and Research, New Delhi, India. My today's presentation will be on spindle cell lesions of the breast, a diagnostic dilemma. Why spindle cell lesions of the breast? Spindle cell lesions of the breast encompasses a wide, I'll minimize. Spindle cell lesions of the breast encompasses a wide array of lesions ranging from reactive, say some scar lesion, to neoplastic, highly malignant processes, most of which are uncommon and very distinctly rare. All the spindle cell lesions occurring in soft tissue can be encountered in the breast. Diagnosis of bland-looking spindle cell lesions of the breast are often challenging, especially on the core needle biopsy, and a close morphological and IHC overlap among the different entities can be seen. Most of these lesions can be appreciated on routine H&E stains. However, certain proportion require ancillary techniques, that is IHC, to arrive at a correct diagnosis. Aims and objective of our study was to study the histological characteristic of breast lesion, almost exclusively composed of spindle cells, with emphasis on pathological differential diagnosis. So it was a retrospective study done over a period of 2 years on breast masses presenting in surgical OPD of our hospital. Patients diagnosed with benign or malignant tumors having predominantly spindle cell component on HPE, which were posing a diagnostic challenge on core biopsy versus a resected specimen, were included in our study. An algorithmic approach was employed for diagnosing the spindle cell lesions of the breast based on cellular composition, presence and grade of atypia, growth pattern, mitotic activity in conjunction with IHC features wherever applicable, along with clinical radiological features. And 2090 WHO classification of breast lesions were used in reaching to a conclusive diagnosis. So I'll be presenting 5 interesting cases here. I'll be telling about 5 interesting cases here, which we encountered on core biopsy versus a resected specimen in the last 2 years. So coming to case 1, we had a 31-year-old female who presented with right breast lump since 2 years. Patient had a history of surgery at the same site 1 year ago. On physical examination, a hard, painless swelling was seen in medial quadrant of the right breast, and there were no clinically palpable axillary lymph nodes. On USG, on ultrasonography, we saw it showed a hypoechoic, irregular bordered soft tissue mass with speculations at 2 o'clock position, measuring nearly 4 into 1.4 centimeter. A score of BIRADS 4B was given. Based on clinical radiological findings, a diagnosis of carcinoma breast was made. We got a core biopsy was done, which revealed only bland-looking cells, only bland-looking spindly cells with no ducts, no SNI. A diagnosis of spindle cell lesion of breast, negative for malignancy, was given. So this is a core biopsy, which only showed bland spindly cells, and there were no duct and acini, only bland-looking spindly cell with no pleomorphism, minimal pleomorphism, no mitotic activity, and a diagnosis of spindle cell lesion, negative for malignancy, was given. When we received the excision specimen, grossly, a lumpectomy specimen, consisted of a globular tissue piece measuring 3.3 into 3.4 into 3 into 3 centimeter. Outer surface was gray-brown with yellowish fatty areas. On cut surface, there were irregular whitish areas with yellowish areas in the periphery. Microscopic findings were, we saw ill-defined proliferation of spindly cells with sweeping in form of sweeping fascicles, haphazardly arranged. The spindly cell had ill-defined cytoplasmic borders. Nuclei were bland and elongated to mildly pleomorphic. Focal irregular infiltration was seen in the surrounding fatty tissue with inconspicuous mitosis. We saw a few entrapped spindly cells in fascicles going into the mammary duct and acini. They were in a collagenized stroma with keloidal-like spaces. So to the gross findings, to the histological findings from the core biopsy, it was unusually, we saw proliferation of spindly cell in sweeping fascicles arranged haphazardly. There were aggregates of mature adipocytes and going into the muscle bundle, entrapped within the muscle bundles here. We could see the entrapment of these fascicles into the skeletal muscle bundles. We saw the entrapment in the mammary ducts by the collagenized keloidal-like stroma. The spindly cell had ill-defined cytoplasmic borders, predominantly bland, elongated to mildly pleomorphic cells. In the high power, it can be appreciated here. A histological diagnosis of spindle cell lesion of the breast was given, and two possibilities were made: fibromatosis and low-grade fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma. IHC was seen to be positive for SMA and Vimentin, whereas it was negative for ERPR, CK, and P63. A final diagnosis of mammary fibromatosis was given. So the case was interesting, as in core biopsy, we just saw bland spindly cells, and in the histological specimen, we saw the bland in the cells were infiltrating into the skeletal muscle, into the deeper tissue, into the adipose tissue. A final diagnosis of mammary fibromatosis was given. Mammary fibromatosis is a rare benign entity characterized by spindle cell proliferation of fibroblast and myofibroblast, as well as varying amounts of collagen. It has no malignant potential. It can recur locally. Radiologically and grossly appears as a mass lesion. Histologically shows low-grade myofibroblastic proliferation. Treatment is by wide local excision, though it recurs. The most important differential diagnoses to be kept in mind are from scar to low-grade fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma and less likely sarcoma, especially causing a diagnostic dilemma on core biopsy. A recently described variant, fibromatosis like variant of metaplastic carcinoma, are very rare breast carcinoma comprising less than 0.5% of all breast carcinoma. These have better prognosis, prone to local recurrence, but is of low malignant potential. So a differential diagnosis when it comes to mammary fibromatosis, a close differential diagnosis of fibromatosis like variant of metaplastic carcinoma should be kept in mind. How to differentiate between a primary mammary fibromatosis and fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma? Mammary fibromatosis are rare benign entity ranging in less than 0.2% of primary breast tumors. They are seen in age of women of childbearing age with associated trauma, whereas fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma has a propensity for local recurrence. Mean age is 65 years. Microscopically, mammary fibromatosis shows non-encapsulated proliferation of spindle cells forming interlacing fascicles with variable collagen deposition and cellularity. However, no or rare mitotic activity is seen, no epithelial component is seen. In case of fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma, infiltrative fibromatosis like or myofibromatosis like growth pattern of bland spindle cell is seen in prominent collagenous stroma, infiltrative borders, usually inflammatory infiltrate. Low mitotic activity can be noted, and carcinoma or epithelial elements can be noted in case of fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma. IHC to differentiate Vimentin positive, SMA positive, and focal desmin positivity seen in mammary fibromatosis. ERPR CD34 is seen in mammary fibromatosis. It's negative. CK positivity, pan-CK positivity seen in fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma. P63 SMA positivity only in the keratin negative cells, usually only in keratin negative cells, and there is negativity for ER, PR, and HER2/neu. Coming to case 2, a brief clinical history of 30-year-old female presented with large recurrent right breast mass since 1 year, which was increasing in size. Patient had past history of cesarean section 6 years back, open gallbladder removal 2 years back. History of core biopsy and lumpectomy was done 1 year back in a different institution. The report said core biopsy report was reported as fibroadenoma, whereas histopathology, the lump showed the features of benign phyllodes tumor. Patient underwent mastectomy for recurrent tumor in our institution, and the gross findings of the mastectomy specimen were: we received a mastectomy specimen measuring 28 into 19 into 12 centimeter. Overlying skin was ulcerating and showed large skin defect measuring 11.2 into 6.5 into 6 centimeter. A large bosselated tumor was seen occupying the whole breast, measuring 26 into 18 into 11 centimeter, 1 centimeter away from the resected margins. Cut surface showed grayish-white areas with hemorrhagic areas and focal areas of necrosis. It was the tumor was occupying whole of the breast with just less than 1 centimeter, 1 mm less than the resected margins were free. Microscopically, we saw biphasic tumor with predominant stromal component and few interspersed glandular structures. Interspersed leaf-like fronds projecting into the cleft-like spaces lined by double-layer epithelium. Moderate stromal hypercellularity was noted, and the cells were plump nuclei, irregular nuclear membrane, coarsely granular chromatin, and occasional conspicuous nuclei. So this is the photomicrograph showing predominant stromal component. In some of the areas, we couldn't see any duct and acini. We just saw stromal hypercellularity in many high power fields and low power. This is leaf-like fronds projecting into cleft-like spaces and stromal hypercellularity. Spindly shaped cells with plump nuclei, irregular nuclear membrane, and prominent nuclei were seen in some of the cells. This is an atypical mitotic figure, pleomorphic spindly cells and prominent nuclei here. And in many of the cells, we could see prominent nuclei. Necrosis, a focus of necrosis seen, stromal hypercellularity. So few of the areas showed around 5 to 9 mitotic figures per 10 high power field. Focal stromal overgrowth was seen. Large areas of hemorrhage, necrosis, focal myxoid areas were seen. Based on above histological features, a diagnosis of borderline phyllodes tumor was rendered. So the diagnostic dilemma here was that in core biopsy, it was reported as fibroadenoma. On the resected specimen done outside, it was benign phyllodes tumor. And in 1 year, the growth was, the lump was seen to be recurring, and we could see the diagnosis of a borderline phyllodes tumor was given. According to the mitotic figures, stromal overgrowth, areas of hemorrhage necrosis. So a final diagnosis of borderline phyllodes tumor was given. For phyllodes tumor, rare biphasic tumor, uncommon than fibroadenoma. It is characterized by variable degree of stromal proliferation, resulting in distortion of the architecture, giving a characteristic leaf-like pattern, also known as cystosarcoma phyllodes. Phyllodes tumor usually pose a diagnostic difficulty in differentiating it from more common stromal tumor, that is fibroadenoma, especially on the core needle biopsy. It poses a diagnostic challenge. The cytological diagnosis of phyllodes is mainly suggested by presence of hypercellular stroma and stromal elements on smears being more numerous than the epithelial ones. So the distinction between benign phyllodes and borderline phyllodes and fibroadenoma is difficult on a core biopsy, or sometimes a diagnosis of fibroepithelial lesion may be sufficient in such cases when there is a diagnostic difficulty, with a note suggesting complete surgical excision. Here is a table showing differences between benign, borderline, and malignant phyllodes tumor. Stromal hypercellularity is minimal in benign. Stromal overgrowth is minimal in benign phylloids. Mitosis is 0 to 4, and tumor margins well circumscribed with pushing tumor margins. In case of borderline phylloids tumors, stromal cellularity in atypia is moderate. Stromal overgrowth is moderate. Mitotic activity is 5 to 9 per 10 high power field. Tumor necrosis, tumor margins, zone of microscopic invasion around the tumor margins can be seen. So these 4 of the features were seen in our histological slides in the case of borderline phylloids. And in malignant, there's marked hypercellularity, marked stromal overgrowth, and more than 10 mitosis per 10 high power field. Tumor margins are usually infiltrated by the tumor. Coming to case number 3, a patient, a 42-year-old lady, complained of recurrent large red right breast mass in inner quadrant measuring approximately 10 into 8 into 6 centimeter. MRI revealed an irregular spiculated mass measuring 11.5 into 9 into 7 centimeter with decreased T1 signal intensity and increased T2 signal intensity. Core biopsy was done, which the features were suggestive of a benign stromal tumor. So here's a core biopsy which we received of the same patient showing a benign stromal tumor because we could only see bland looking spindly cells in a collagenized stroma, in a loose stroma, and no other atypical cells, anything was appreciated on this biopsy. We could see no mitosis, no epithelial, no epithelium, no SNI ducts. We could only see bland looking epithelium. So diagnosis of benign stromal tumor was rendered. And we received a gross specimen of, we got a lump, we received a lumpectomy specimen, which was capsulated, globular, gray tan, measuring 12 into 10.5 into 8 centimeter. External surface was irregular, nodular, and congested. Cut section showed a tumor with multinodular solid areas, gray-white in color with foci of hemorrhage. Tumors was seen encroaching the capsular area with slit-like areas at the periphery. Focal areas of necrosis was seen. So according to the core biopsy, which was benign stromal tumor, we received a lump. On the microscopic finding, an unusual tumor was found. It was a heterogeneous tumor composed of mixture of mesenchymal and epithelial components, with predominant areas showing fascicles and bundles of spindly to ovoid-shaped cells exhibiting marked pleomorphism, coarse vesicular chromatin, and moderate cytoplasm. We could see brisk atypical mitosis. We could see large areas of necrosis, areas of myxoid degeneration, and focal osteoclastic like giant cell. Proliferation of bland cell was seen in fascicular and storiform pattern. Also, we could see DCS component along adjacent to the spindly areas. So unusually from the core biopsy on the histological lumpectomy specimen, we could see an unusual heterogeneous tumor composed of atypical epithelial and mesenchymal components, which we couldn't appreciate, we couldn't see on the core, which was missed on core biopsy because the lesion the needle the biopsy must have been taken from some other site of the lump. So this is a heterogeneous tumor composed of mesenchymal and epithelial components. There were brisk atypical mitosis in each field. We could appreciate 8 to 10 mitosis, even more in some fields. So these are atypical mitosis here. These are the atypical mitosis. We could see nuclear pleomorphism, coarse vesicular chromatin, moderate cytoplasm, and prominent nuclei. The fascicles and bundles of spindly cells exhibiting marked pleomorphism, coarse vesicular chromatin, and moderate cytoplasm. IHC was seen to be positive for PAN-CK and P63. We couldn't procure slide for P63 as in such short time. So final diagnosis of metaplastic spindle cell carcinoma of breast was given. So from core biopsy and to such unusual diagnosis we found on lumpectomy specimen. Later on for the same patient, mastectomy was done for residual tumor, if any, but it was negative for any tumor. So metaplastic spindle cell carcinoma is a group of uncommon malignancy of breast, usually is biphasic, has mixed carcinomatous and sarcomatoid component, which is monophasic, and with sarcomatoid component alone. At the malignant end of the spectrum, metaplastic spindle cell carcinoma is the commonest diagnosis. A malignant diagnosis can be made if there is definite epithelial differentiation on morphology on core biopsy. Focal epithelial differentiation based purely on core biopsy should be cautiously interpreted. In challenging cases, full differential diagnosis, including malignant phylloids, tumors, sarcoma, metastasis, needs to be considered. Clinical history, IHC enables the differential diagnosis. Occasionally, features are clearly malignant, but definite diagnosis is not possible. A definite diagnosis should only be attempted on surgical specimen. So coming to case number 4, with a clinical history of a 60-year-old female presenting with mobile left in a quadrant breast lump since few years. On ultrasonography, we found a mass which appeared homogeneous, well circumscribed, hypoechoic and avascular solid mass measuring 2.5 into 2 centimeter. Patient underwent core needle biopsy. Core needle biopsy was suggestive of fibroadenoma. On core needle biopsy, we could only see a pericanaliculaar pattern, TDLUs, and periclinicular pattern of the lesion. So a diagnosis of fibroadenoma was given. When we received the excision specimen grossly, it was a skin-covered gray white soft tissue piece measuring 2 into 1 centimeter. Cut section was homogeneous gray white with foci of hemorrhage. Microscopically, the sections showed epidermis and dermis. Dermis showed presence of nodules of spindle-shaped cells and fibrocollagenous tissue interspersed with variably sized slit-like spaces. These individual spindle-shaped cells had bipolar cytoplasmic processes, spindle-shaped to oval nuclei with bland chromatin. So this is a dermis, this is epidermis and dermis. We could see spindle-shaped cells and fibrocollagenous tissue interspersed by variable slit-like spaces lined by endothelial-like cells. But these are myofibroblast-like cells. These are simulated like a vascular lesion. A final diagnosis of PASH was given, pseudoangiomatous stromal hyperplasia on the excision specimen. PASH, pseudoangiomatous stromal hyperplasia. It's a histological benign proliferative lesion composed characteristic interconnected slit-like pseudovascular space lined by spindle cells, that is myofibroblast, on a background of stromal hyperplasia that resemble endothelial cells in a background with keloid fibrosis. Clinically, PASH presents as a painless, palpable breast mass in 44 to 54% of women. PASH can occur in nodular form with or without in association with other breast lesions. It can be seen in breast carcinoma and hematomas. It can be associated with breast carcinoma also. Preoperative diagnosis on clinical and radiological assessments alone is very difficult. FNAC is not useful. Thus, in a core needle biopsy with bland spindle cells lining apparent vascular spaces, PASH should be borne in mind. So case number 5, a 33-year female who presented with complaint of large retroareolar left breast mass since an year growing in size. USG showed large multilobulated hypoechoic solid mass with moderately heterogeneous internal ecotexture, occasional internal microcystic areas, approximately measuring 9 into 7 centimeter in 12 o'clock position in left breast. Core biopsy revealed fibroadenoma. On core biopsy, we could see a intraclinicular pattern of fibroadenoma. Gross finding resected specimen mass, it was an encapsulated irregular lobulated gray-white mass measuring 8 into 5 into 3 centimeter. On cut sections, slit-like areas were seen along with myxoid areas. Microscopically, section showed circumscribed biphasic lesion with pushing borders and stromal hypercellularity. Benign glandular elements were seen with cleft-like spaces. Myxoid degeneration and hyalinized stroma was present. However, there was no atypia and mitotic figures. So these are benign glandular elements with cleft-like spaces and stromal hypercellularity. So a diagnosis of benign phylloids tumor was given in the excision specimen. So just briefly summarizing all the 5 cases which had a diagnostic difficulty, which we face a diagnostic difficulty on the core biopsy versus a resection diagnosis. Operative core biopsy for the case 1, which we diagnosed as negative for malignancy. On resection specimen, we diagnosed it as a DD of fibromatosis or low-grade fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma. IHC was positive for vimentin, actin, and focally for desmin. However, it was negative for CK, P63, and ERPR. A final diagnosis of mammary fibromatosis was rendered. In case of case 2, benign core biopsy, which showed benign phyllodes tumor. On resection, it showed borderline phyllodes tumor. IHC was not applicable for this as the diagnosis was clear. Case 3 was benign stromal lesion, which was given a diagnosis of benign stromal lesion was given on core biopsy, possibly phyllodes tumor. It came out to be metaplastic spindle cell carcinoma of the breast. PAN-CK and PAN-63 was positive. P63 was positive, and a diagnosis of metaplastic spindle cell carcinoma was given. Case 4, which suggested of fibroadenoma on core biopsy, turned out to be PASH on resected specimen. Case 5, which suggested of fibroadenoma on core biopsy, turned out to be benign phyllodes tumor on the resection diagnosis. So discussing the spindle cell lesions of the breast, although most spindle cell lesions of the breast are rare, they constitute a wide spectrum of disease ranging from reactive process to aggressive malignant tumors. Despite their varied histogenesis and behavior, they show some overlap of morphological features, making accurate diagnosis a challenging task, particularly on the core needle biopsy. So diagnosing spindle cell lesions on core needle biopsy is based on awareness of clinical setting, careful examination of H&E stain slides, and IHC. Clinical history and IHC can help make a correct diagnosis in morphological challenging cases. To make an accurate diagnosis, it is important to maintain a wide differential diagnosis and be familiar with diverse morphological appearance of these different entities. So a simplified approach is, in the simplified approach, spindle cell lesions can be divided into 4 groups. Biphasic lesions with predominance of spindle cells with benign epithelium, biphasic lesions with predominance of spindle cells with malignant epithelial component, monophasic lesions with pure pleomorphic spindle cell only, monophasic lesions with pure bland spindle cells only. So biphasic lesions with predominance of spindle cells with benign epithelial component are most commonly our fibroepithelial lesions, that is fibroadenoma and phyllodes tumor. Other lesions include PASH, hematomas, and adenomyopitheliomas. Biphasic lesions with predominance of spindle cell with malignant epithelial component includes metaplastic carcinoma as a main lesion in this category. Where thirdly, monophasic lesions with pure pleomorphic spindle cells, the monophasic type of metaplastic carcinoma is common. Other lesions to consider include sarcomas like malignant fibrous histiocytoma, angiosarcoma, and high-grade sarcomas and other high-grade sarcomas. Lastly, monophasic lesions with pure bland spindle cells only. The possible lesions include fibromatosis like metaplastic carcinoma, other unusual conditions like DFSP, dermatofibrosarcoma protuberance. So case lessons learned here while dealing with core biopsy and resected specimen were, highlights the challenge of rendering a definite diagnosis of malignant spindle cell neoplasm on core needle biopsy, emphasizes the potential diagnostic pitfall of IHC interpretation on core needle biopsy, diagnostic difficulties in spindle cell lesions on core needle biopsy, limited sample of larger lesion, definite feature may not be present, such as conventional invasive carcinoma or leaf-like architecture can be missed, morphological overlap between spindle cell lesions, immunophenotypic overlap between lesions. So take-home messages can be, the pathologist should be aware of spindle cell lesions of breast, including rare entities, to achieve correct diagnosis, facilitating a correct prognostic information and therapy. Extreme caution needs to be exercised when dealing with spindle cell lesion on core biopsy, as benign spindle cell lesions can look malignant and malignant can look benign. Definite characterization may be impossible on core needle biopsy. The role of IHC cannot be overemphasized in diagnostically challenging spindle cell lesion of the breast in conjunction with precise clinical radiological information. So these are my references. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mono, for this very illustrating presentation. I especially like the macroscopic photos because we know all in pathology that when we do the macro on our own or see the macro, we got lots of information. And this is another important element in our evaluation. So thank you especially for the correlation of histology and the macroscopic pictures. And
Thank
of
you
course,
so much.
yes, and of course, thank you for pointing out the dangerous points. For example, spindle cell lesions. Be careful on biopsy, especially for residents or pathologists in training. These are highly valuable information, and it's very important to point this out.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
So, are there any more questions from the audience? Yes. Any more questions from the audience? Oh, well, I've got a brief question. What kind of immunohistochemical markers do you use to exclude or confirm epithelial origin in the spindle cell lesions where you want to know something about whether it's a sarcomatoid carcinoma or not?
So cytokeratins, high molecular weight cytokeratins, P63 if there is any squamous differentiation, for myoepithelial differentiation, and mainly these.
Okay.